Have you ever wondered just how far your thoughts can take you? You might not realize it, but your ideas, the feelings you hold on to, and the emotions you nurture shape your life more than you can imagine. And that's exactly what we're talking about today. The power of thought. This invisible force often goes unnoticed in our daily lives, yet it holds the potential to deeply influence our reality. Whether for good or bad, our thoughts are incredibly powerful. And the most interesting part? Sometimes they're not even entirely our own. Now, have you ever thought about how spirits can interact with our minds, influencing our decisions and even our most hidden feelings? Today, you're going to discover something surprising. We're not always alone in our thoughts. There are influences constantly at play, and knowing this could change everything. Stay with me because I'm going to tell you how this process works and, more importantly, how you can take control of your mind. Get ready, because what's coming next will blow your mind. Oh, and before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and comment, "I control my thoughts." Ready? Let's go. Have you ever noticed how certain thoughts seem to have a mind of their own? Out of nowhere, they pop into our heads, often at critical moments, when we're feeling unsure, afraid, or even when we're at peace. This doesn't happen by accident. In fact, what Spiritism teaches us is that our thoughts work like antennas, attracting similar vibrations. It's almost like whatever you're thinking acts as a magnet, drawing in energies on the same frequency. And this is where we start to see just how powerful that is, right? Let's think about it together. If you wake up feeling off, stressed, and worrying about problems, what happens? It feels like the entire universe starts conspiring to make your day worse, doesn't it? But what if we flipped the script? What if, in the middle of the chaos, you paused, took a deep breath, and thought, "Okay, I can handle this." Everything changes. It's not magic, but reality responds to what you put out there. And this isn't just about what happens in the physical world. Spirituality is constantly connected to our thoughts as well. And here's the interesting part. Many of the thoughts that pop into our heads might actually be suggested by spirits around us. That's right. Our spiritual companions are more present than we realize. When you suddenly feel anxious for no apparent reason or experience a fear you can't explain, have you ever thought that it could be an external influence? Many times, these thoughts come from disembodied spirits who, still attached to their own pain, end up influencing us without us even realizing it. They connect with the vibration you're putting out. So, if you're in a phase where your thoughts are more negative, you become an easy target for these influences. But hold on, this doesn't mean we're completely at the mercy of these vibrations. This brings us to a really important point: our responsibility for what we think. Once we realize that our thoughts shape our reality and attract spiritual companions with similar vibrations, it becomes easier to understand how vital it is to maintain mental balance. It's a cycle, you see? Negative thoughts attract spirits on the same vibrational level, who then reinforce those thoughts within you. And the cycle keeps feeding itself. So, tell me, have you ever experienced something like this? Have you felt like those bad thoughts were coming from outside of you? Okay, so now you're probably wondering, how can I tell if a thought comes from me or if there's a spirit influencing me? That's a great question, and honestly, the answer is simpler than it seems. First, we need to understand that not every thought that pops into our minds is entirely our own. Yes, Spiritism explains that we're constantly surrounded by spiritual influences. These can be both positive and negative. But despite that, we still have free will. At the end of the day, we're the ones who decide which path to take. Let's imagine a typical situation. You're about to make a big decision, like changing jobs or even moving to a new city. Everything's going fine, but suddenly, you hear this internal voice saying, "Are you sure you can handle this?" Or what if everything goes wrong? Sound familiar? That voice isn't always ours. Many times, these are disembodied spirits who, still caught up in their own fears and insecurities, end up projecting those energies into our minds. They don't do it out of malice necessarily, but because they're still lost in their own low vibrations. Now, of course, this influence doesn't mean we're always being guided by them. The key difference lies in our ability to discern. Often, those thoughts that feel like a second impulse, like a sudden doubt about something you've already decided, could be the result of spiritual interference. So, if you were confident in a decision, but out of nowhere, a wave of unexplained insecurity hits, it's worth asking, is this fear really mine, or is it coming from an external influence? The good news is we can avoid these interferences. The key to this lies in practicing mental hygiene. It's like putting up a shield around your mind, protecting it from those influences. And how do we do this? By keeping our thoughts elevated, engaging in sincere prayer, meditating. These practices help strengthen and fortify our minds. The more focused and calm our minds are, the less room there is for these external thoughts to take hold. So, have you ever experienced something like this? Have you noticed how these kinds of thoughts can interfere with your day-to-day life? Let's talk about it. I'd love to hear how you handle these situations. Now that we've understood how spirits can influence our thoughts, what do you say we talk about how to tune our minds to higher spirits? Because honestly, this can make a world of difference in our lives. The good news is, just like we can attract spirits with lower vibrations when we're stuck in negative thinking, we can also attract spirits of light, those who are always ready to help us, as long as we raise our vibration. You know what the secret is? Elevating the quality of our thoughts. And you might be wondering, but how do I do that with the daily hustle and all the worries I have? The answer lies in 3 simple but incredibly powerful practices: prayer, meditation, and doing good. These 3 things, when practiced sincerely, can completely transform your energy. Let's start with prayer. And listen, it doesn't have to be long or filled with complicated words. Prayer needs to come from the heart, like a sincere conversation between you and the spiritual realm. It's that moment of true connection, you know? When we pray with faith and intention, we create a kind of bridge that links our minds to higher planes. Spirits of light can't intervene directly in our lives, but they can inspire, guide, and intuit us, as long as we ask for that help. Prayer is the perfect channel for this. Now, meditation also plays an important role. Have you tried it? When we meditate, it creates a natural shield around our minds. A calm, serene, and focused mind is much harder to disturb, whether by negative energies from lower spirits or from our own chaotic thoughts. Meditation helps us find peace and cultivate a mental clarity that we often lack in our daily lives. And it doesn't have to be complicated. You can start with just 5 minutes, simply focusing on your breath. Over time, you'll start to notice the difference. And finally, there's the practice of doing good, helping others, whether through a kind word, a small gesture, or something bigger, raises our vibration in surprising ways. The more we connect with goodness, the more we attract the presence of higher spirits. It's like an exchange of energy. The more light you give, the more light you receive. It's beautiful, isn't it? It's the very essence of the spiritual cycle. Now, tell me, what do you usually do to keep your mind in tune with positivity? Let's exchange some ideas. We've reached the crucial point: how to use the power of thought to truly transform your life. By now, it's clear that thought is a powerful tool, right? So why not start using it to our advantage? The first thing you need to understand is that thought is action. It sounds simple, but many people don't realize this. Everything we think has a direct impact on our reality. Imagine your thought is a seed. If you plant a good seed, it's going to grow and bear good fruit. But if the seed is of poor quality, what sprouts from it won't be great either, right? Life works the same way. Whatever we nourish in our minds reflects in the world around us. That's why the first tip is to watch your thoughts. Exactly. Start paying attention to what you're cultivating in your mind. When you notice you're going down a path of negative thinking, stop. Don't let it grow. Replace that thought with something positive. But it's hard. My mind's already used to thinking this way. Yes, I know that at first it can seem challenging, but with practice, it becomes more natural. It's a daily exercise, and each day you'll get stronger. Another highly effective technique is visualization. Have you heard of it? It's a simple practice but can transform your reality. Everything starts in the mind, so why not begin building the future you want right now? Here's how it works. Close your eyes and vividly imagine the life you want to live. Don't just think it. Feel it as if you're already living that reality. Imagine the emotions, the situations, the places, the people around you. The more realistic your visualization, the more your subconscious starts working to manifest it in your life. And one more important thing, be patient. Change doesn't happen overnight, but if you commit to working on your thoughts daily, little by little, you'll start to notice everything falling into place. It's almost magical, but it's really spirituality in action. Remember that story about the seed? It doesn't turn into a tree overnight, but with care, patience, and time, the fruit will appear. So what reality do you want to start creating from now on? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear. Now that we've gone on this journey exploring the power of thought, what's become clearer to you? The most important message, without a doubt, is that you have control over your mind and, consequently, your life. The thoughts you nurture daily are like puzzle pieces that come together to form the reality you live in. And as we've seen, this doesn't happen randomly. Every thought you choose to feed, whether positive or negative, directly influences the energies you attract and the experiences you'll live. Spiritism teaches us that despite external spiritual influences, we are responsible for what we choose to hold inside. And this awareness gives us the power to transform. If you want a life that's fuller, more balanced, filled with peace and fulfillment, the first step is to work on your thoughts, raise your vibration, and connect with positive energies. Don't let external influences or chaotic thoughts take over your mind. You have the tools to make this journey beautiful and constructive. And look, I know it's not always easy. Sometimes it feels like we're alone in the midst of so many challenges. But the truth is, we're never alone. Spirits of light are always by our side, ready to guide and help us. But they need us to open up and ask for that help. That request comes through sincere prayer, meditation that calms the mind, and the practice of doing good, which elevates the soul. Think about this. Every thought is a choice. And with that choice, you can begin building a future that's more in line with what you truly want. Everything starts in the mind, and now you know you have the power to transform your reality. What are you waiting for to start? Don't put it off until tomorrow. Make your mind a fertile garden, where only the most positive and constructive seeds grow. And before we wrap up, I want to remind you of something essential. Connection to the spiritual is ongoing. The more you seek to align yourself with higher energies, the more you'll feel the support of benevolent spirits, and the easier it will be to keep your thoughts in harmony. And as we've discussed throughout this entire text, everything starts with the first step. So what will your first step be? Oh, and before we finish, I want to invite you to do something. If this content helped you in any way, share it with someone you know who needs to hear this message. And tell me, what's the first step you're going to take to transform your thoughts? I'd love to hear. Let's do this together because this journey is a collective one.